Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone that you are catching us. It's your boy RumboyzRobbie. Make sure that you guys hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, and also share the content. Help us turn this plaque back here into a silver play button. Everyone that contributes here at the Rumboyz Fantasy Network would also receive a silver play button. So we're trying to get everyone across that finish line as independent sports analysts, achieve our dreams here. And it happens whenever you guys check out the content, share the content, and interact with the content as well. We greatly appreciate all of you guys joining our community here at the Rumboyz Fantasy Network. Cheers to me. Cheers to you, all the Rumboys and girls. What it do? Dilly dilly. I am your host, RumboyzRobbie. And this is Fantasy Football Friendly 2024. Today, we are going to be talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. But before we do that, I do want to remind everyone, link is down below in the description for this year's Pros with Joe's charity tournament. I am going to be representing the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Shout out to our two donors. We have a donation of $105, then a donation of $25. You can even donate $1, all right? If you have the kindness in your heart, link is down below in the description section. Help us save some lives. You will also get an opportunity to co-manage a fantasy football team with yours truly and compete against some of those that you hear on SiriusXM, ESPN, NFL Network, and much, 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 much more. All right. Some of your other favorite fantasy football YouTubers are involved with this whole charity tournament as well. So shout out to Pros with Joe's. Make sure you guys check it out. Link down below. Let's get into breaking down the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, I'm going to let it be known right now because I feel like I have a viewer base that I can just be very blunt and honest with you guys. All right. True. So blunt. You know what I'm saying? All right. You dig what I'm saying. All right. It's going to be one of those. I'm not taking shots at the Raiders fan base. All right. I'm not taking shots. I want it to be made clear. I want this team to be successful. We're purely talking about fantasy football. Fantasy football is different than the regular NFL. And of course, sometimes as an analyst, maybe I could be, miss a take or two. But we'll see. Let's go ahead and get into it. We start off with the quarterback position. Gardner Minshew, QB 34 heading into this year. Gardner Minshew did receive news today that he will be named the starter for week 1. Just because he is named the starter for week 1, Antonio Pierce has already came out and said something to the fact that he wants to see how Aiden O'Connell can, handle, maybe not being the starter and, see how he can come along. Neither has looked great. I'm going to be honest. Neither Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell have been great for the Las Vegas Raiders. All right. When you take a look at that game against the Dallas Cowboys, I understand. Yes, it was preseason. Gardner Minshew went 10 for 21, 95 yards. Did not throw any TDs. No TDs, but also no picks. 60.6 passer rating. Aiden O'Connell, 14 for 20, 96 yards, 1 TD, 1 pick, 76.2 passer rating. Take that for how you will. Read as much into it or read as much not into it as you want. That is purely up to you. Me personally, I don't want nothing to do with this QB room. I want nothing to do with this QB room. We've already seen Minshew Mania before. Aiden O'Connell, I just don't think is ready. Maybe he's just not that guy, pal. And I think that that's what we're looking at here. I think that this team needs an actual quarterback. It sucks Atlanta took Penix as a backup because they probably could have benefited from Penix, but that's neither here or there. We're talking about right now and in the now. Minshew went in the 12th round in a recent, QB Superflex League, 2 QB Superflex League. Aiden O'Connell went in the 14th round. Taco is the one who grabbed both of those. Ended up having to run a 4 QB strategy where you can only roster no more than 4 anyway. So he went to that roster limit, rostering 4 in that particular league, in that particular format. His other 2 starting quarterbacks, QB1 and QB2, is Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. Even on a fucking bye week, I don't want to be trusting Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell as my QB2 to Superflex. Like, it just, so it's a recipe for disaster. Is this team going to have weeks where they're going to play tough and they're going to win games and they're going to cause upsets and they're going to be great for the books? Sure. Is Gardner Minshew maybe going to have a week here and there where it's like, damn, Minshew went off? Yes. It's going to be less times than not. It's not going to be on a consistent basis with either of these quarterbacks. So that's my knock on just the quarterback position as a whole. At QB 34, you shouldn't hopefully be searching for a startable QB at this point. This is no more than a depth piece for your fantasy football roster when we talk about Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. I do believe that Aiden O'Connell at some point may or may not start. I do believe at some point Aiden O'Connell will start. When, we don't know. Minshew could ball out and just hold on to the job for an extra couple of weeks than expected. One piece that I'm absolutely not leaving fantasy football drafts without is Zamir White. Zamir White coming in this year, RB23. When he was the starter weeks 15 through 18, he averaged 23.3 touches, 114.3 total yards as an RB12 in fantasy points per game. If you had him on your team during that time period, weeks 15 through 18, you likely waltzed your way into a fantasy football championship. I know that I did last year, which is also why I'm a big guy on the fantasy football brotherhood, keeping the fraternity together. And in order to do that, we're going to go out. We're going to get Zamir White again this year. You can grab Zamir White around the eighth round. You may have to reach, but we're the ones who create ADP anyways. ADP doesn't matter. Feel free to scroll the fuck down. If you're drafting him as your third running back, let's say early on you went Bijan, Rashad White, and now you're like, yo, I need a third running back. I've already got, a couple stud receivers. I got my two quarterbacks. I need it, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Zamir White, it's a great, when you're thinking about who's going to be your flex play, I love that I can grab Zamir White, insert him in week 1. I know that this is going to be a running team. Among 41 qualified backs during that week, 15 through 18 time, he ranked 13th in explosive run rate, 6th in yards after contact per attempt, 17th in success rate. Josh Jacobs is gone. He's in Green Bay. He's up there in Lambeau. Zamir White's the man for Vegas. Oh, well, what about Alexander Madison? What have you done for me lately? And what has Alexander Madison done for you lately? We're not even worrying about Alexander Madison. Alexander Madison is a late round dart throw at best. Zamir White is really, really the piece that you can get. And that a guy that I think is going to outperform ADP. He's coming into this year, RB23. I could see him ending top 15 backs this year very easy. I could see that. All right. So you want to go out there, you want to get you some Zamir White. A lot of other cats in your league are not going to be thinking about Zamir White. Whole time you're like, yo, depending on that matchup, Zamir White might actually end up being that starting running back on my roster on that week. He has that type of ability and that type of upside to where he can outwork some of the other guys that may be in that other range, or, if they may have a slow start, maybe you're putting him in, or if a guy gets injured, you need a reliable back. Boom, Zamir White's already on your roster. So that's my approach with Zamir White. That's how I would remove Zamir White around the chessboard of fantasy football. Let's keep this train moving. We are moving and grooving today, ladies and gentlemen. There's also not really too much to talk about with this team. Davante Adams. All right. Davante Adams ended wide receiver 10 last year in PPR formats. Is being taken off the board as wide receiver 10 this year. All right. the thing that you worry about is the same thing that I mentioned with my Justin Jefferson take. If you guys hadn't checked out that short, I definitely recommend going to check that out. Quarterback proof. We know that Adams is quarterback proof. All right. No matter who the quarterback was last year, still, maintain about 45% air yard share, league leading 33% target share, 103 receptions on 175 targets, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Whoever the quarterback is, it'll probably be, part of the season Minshew, part of the season Aiden. Aiden will get pulled and benched, then Minshew will get thrown back out there. That's likely the way that I could see it working out, which is also why I don't want anything to do with the quarterbacks, like I mentioned earlier. I do want Davante Adams. I have a lot of Davante Adams in just a combination of redraft and best ball. I think I have him on a couple of dynasty leagues. So I'm about to try and see if I can unload him off of. He is entering age 31. But the man can ball. Great work on receiver. Love that show on Netflix. Make sure you guys check that out. But more importantly, he's a dog. You're safe drafting him. You're not caring about who the quarterback is. You're not worrying about if you need to stack them or not. That's not a relevant conversation with Davante Adams. The relevant conversation around Davante Adams, the thing that you need to take away with Davante Adams is, I need to go ahead and pay the price. I need to go ahead and draft him. That's what you need to know about Davante Adams. Straight up, clear cut right there. All right. And next up, we are going to talk about the tight end position. Before we dive right into the tight end position, I do just want to state that, yes, last year this team did draft Michael Mayer. This year they have Brock Bowers. Okay. How this offense is going to work, if you guys notice, I kind of skipped over wide receiver 2, and I'll get into that in a moment. Okay. And I kind of skipped over, RB2. Like I will get into that. There's a method behind it while I'm doing it this way on this episode. When I talk about the tight end position with the Raiders, it's very hard for me to just believe that they're going to completely abandon Mayer heading into his second year with the team at a position of tight end that usually we're talking about takes 2 to 3 years truly to break out. Okay. So I could see a lot of 12 personnel, a lot of jumbo set action with this offensive game plan, with this offensive system. Okay. Depending on, how Antonio Pierce, he's a guy that, with his philosophy, he's like his coach attitude. I could see this being bully ball. You got a workhorse back in White. You got an elite receiver in Adams that can take the top off. Why not run 2 tight end sets very consistently throughout the game when you have 2 guys that can kind of go out there and perform the tight end duties, but then also act as receivers, which kind of makes having a wide receiver 2 more like a wide receiver 3, because the tight ends in this offense are going to act like true wide receiver 2s. Excuse me. Consensus is, and hive mind thinking is that Brock Bowers is going to be the one that plays second fiddle to Davante Adams in the passing game. I find it ironic, and I find it akin to where you're having to work out, you're having to outwork the person ahead of you, but the person ahead of you kind of already knows that you're there to do that anyways. I think that Mayer knows this, just like Dawson Knox knew this in Buffalo, okay, with the Dalton Kincaid situation, which is why I'm taking a look at Brock Bowers akin to Dalton Kincaid last year with the Buffalo Bills, okay? I think, Meyer will show a little bit this year. He'll get his and a little bit more than what he did last year. But I think all in all, it's fair to say that Brock Bowers coming in at tight end 11 this year per ADP, and then possibly maybe even ending as tight end 11, just like similar to what Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid ended as tight end 11 last year. If I can get a rookie tight end to come out and be tight end 11. And then, when I get into his year 2, year 3, I like what can happen here. Just for me personally, I don't know if I see myself buying Brock Bowers maybe over a Dalton Schultz, a Pat Fryer move, guys of that liking. If I'm buying Brock Bowers, I'm also pairing that with a Schultz, with a Fryer move, as a tight end 1-2 situation to kind of flip around, flop out. I think that if you're grabbing Brock Bowers, you absolutely need to have another tight end, a Jake Ferguson, a George Kittle, Evan Ingram, something of the other, just in case you deal with those rookie kind of quirks that you got to deal with. I should say. Sorry, brain not working with me right now with that sentence. Depth concerns, I have a lot with this team just because whenever Aiden O'Connell, Jacoby Myers, Mayer, Alexander Madison have had to be starters, they don't really do much with those opportunities. They don't jump out at you. Jacoby Myers, nothing more than a wide receiver 3, I feel like at this point. And that's fair. You're grabbing him 12th round of your drafts. Depending on how your draft goes, it could even be later than that. The way I'm approaching Jacoby Myers, let him fall to you. Michael Mayer is going undrafted, watch list, type of guy. Alexander Madison, he's a dart throw. He's going at the back end of drafts. I mean, that's more of a handcuff situation. And even still, you will probably be able to handcuff someone behind Zamir White that'll be more effective than Alexander Madison. That's on a different team. And then Aiden O'Connell is Aiden O'Connell. Like, there's not really, he hasn't shown us a whole lot to really be excited if he were to ever have to be the starter for this team. Given a lot of those factors, when we get into the fantasy-friendly grading of this team, the quarterback play isn't great. The fantasy value comes in the health and strength of a workhorse when it comes to the backfield of Zamir White. Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams. He's quarterback proof. Okay. We know that he's elite. He's top tier. That's why you pay the man. You're drafting Devontae Adams no matter what. No cautions. We're not caring about anything in the world. Brock Bowers, a rookie tight end who's out, having to deal with the sophomore tight end who's actually really talented back in college. That's something that I do worry about. But all in all, probably likely to finish at tight end 11. You're drafting him at tight end 11. You're just worrying about where you're having to grab him. So yeah, that's the way that I look at this team. When I have to grade them from a fantasy football friendly standpoint, which is what we do here, this team overall fucking stinks outside of Zamir White and Devontae Adams. We don't know what Brock Bowers is going to be yet. So it's crazy and outlandish for us to be like, yes, like this is going to be fucking Jeremy Shockey 2.0. We already had that last year, and Sam Laporta, and lightning doesn't usually strike in a bottle twice. Okay, so I feel like, you got to kind of have to temper your expectations and keep it at a tight end 11 ceiling when it comes to Brock Bowers. Everything is solely dependent on the quarterback play, and neither of the quarterbacks are great, and they're probably going to exchange opportunities throughout the season. Maybe Minshew makes it like halfway through October, Rumtober, and then halfway through Rumtober, it's Aiden O'Connell, and then when we're into December, maybe it's Minshew again. Who knows? Fantasy football friendly grade D+. This team's it's just not great. I do want to buy into the Antonio Pierce coaching philosophy. I'm a huge Devontae Adams fan. Really huge Devontae Adams fan. Just because of Devontae Adams, I really feel like I should be giving him a higher grade. Because of Zamir White, I feel like I should be giving a higher grade, but like we need to see a little bit more out of Zamir White as well. With that being stated, D+, I feel like is fair because hopefully they can exceed expectations. There's only two pieces out of this roster that I want to have, and it's Zamir White and Devontae Adams. And I don't even want them on the same roster. It's either one or the other. I don't want to be too heavily invested into the Rays. when it comes to constructing my fantasy football roster. It's fantasy football friendly grade, D+. I feel like that's fair. I did have it as a D-, and I changed it in the middle of me filming this. So make sure you guys hit that like button. Subscribe if you enjoy the content. Even if you don't, like, subscribe still, because this is clearly a place where we can have differing opinions. And I want to have that down below in the comment section. Okay. Follow me on social media as well. Check out Pros with Joe's charity leagues. Shout out to our 2 donors. If you don't want to donate to my cause, then you can go check out Marcus Grant's cause or Adam Rink's cause or any of the fantasy pros. I'm sure Pat Fitz has a cause. Everyone and anyone that's in this industry is doing it. Join up, co-manage a team with me. Whenever you donate, we're going to raffle and pick one of you to co-manage with me. So you already know the vibes. Like, comment, subscribe. Cheers to me. Cheers to you. All the Rumboyz and girls, what it do. Dilly, y'all. We love and appreciate you.